also bring up a point, something that you brought up earlier. I am a fan of the progressive movement, and I think at some point in this country, I hope to get to a full progressive movement. But for right now, some of the progressives need to shut the fuck up and relax and take a breath. And I'm tired of hearing the young people do not appreciate the way Joe Biden is handling the Palestine, Israel. Like, guys, so let's look at the alternative. The alternative is you don't like the way Joe Biden's handling Palestine. So basically what that means is I may not even vote for him. I might vote for a third party or just stay home. So then what you're going to do is you're going to get a guy who not only doesn't give a fuck about Palestine, he's going to sympathize with North Korea. He's going to sympathize with Russia. He's going to sympathize with everything you fucking hate. So your little whining and acting like you know more than everybody is really starting to get annoying.
Yeah, that's that woke shit. Like that.
Yes,
and don't get us wrong. Don't get us wrong. Woke is cool to a degree.
Correct.
But there's a such thing as just trying too hard. Because like you just said, those people, they don't care about Russia, Putin. You know what I mean? Like if we had an issue with Russia, Putin, these young people, they don't care, because if they cared, they would have been talking about what the fuck is going on and what the fuck his name is, who's missing. Like no one's talking about that.
Right.
But this hot button topic, everyone wants to be in a hot button topic. And it's like the nerve of you to be upset about the way Biden is handling it when it's not his fucking war, right?
Correct. That's exactly right.
His war. And even if we are providing military or whatever the fuck America has made a deal with into eternity, we don't know what the deal is. We don't know what the background noise is. We just don't know any of that. So for us to be like, you have to stop giving them money money and weapons, it's like, is it that easy?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that easy. And I don't think America likes what they're seeing. That is why they have fucking our national freaking security people on the ground right now in Israel to try to calm this and talk some sense into him. So if you don't think that Biden's actually trying to like soothe things and get this on the right track, whatever the fuck the right track is, because nobody knows how to handle this. Shut the fuck up while y'all like crying about something that's way there. Fucking women are like having fetuses with organs on the outside of their bodies and being forced to like give birth because there's a fucking heartbeat on a heart that's formed outside of the fetus's body. And y'all fucking mad about Biden because the way he's handling someone else's war.
It's the Monday morning presidency is all these people are playing. And you know what it reminds me of, Lana? It reminds me of, it's almost the same idea of when Tommy Tuberville was holding out his vote, allowing more of the military people to be assigned because he had one view that was bothering him. So these people are going to stay home because they don't like the way Joe Biden is handling Palestine. I got news for you, progressives. You will never get the progressive president you want if you keep this dumb shit up and allow Donald Trump to get elected. So you know, as much as I love them and as much as even some of the smartest people I hear that are progressives, I'm like, guys, will you shut the fuck up about how you can't stand how Joe Biden's handling things right now and maybe understand the game we're in? And, let's keep that behind closed doors. And then once we get him elected again, and maybe we can start putting laws in this place to where really ridiculous shit never happens again, we can now continue with our progressive movement instead of trying to do it right now when American democracy is on the line.
Right. This is the thing about what I see, because I don't know everything, but what kids today, and just by, me looking at the kids that I have, these kids are so different because they want everything so fast. They don't want to work for anything. And it's just like, and I'm losing my thought because I had a particular thing that I wanted to highlight. Oh, right. This girl, so she voted for Biden, and now they asked her because, the polls, And she's like, no, she may not vote for Biden. And I'm like, she had a whole hijab on because she's upset about what's going on with the Palestinians. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, but girl, are you tunnel vision right now? Because if you Democrats want diversity.
Right.
They fight for diversity. They fight for everyone's rights. The other side wants you to go back to your country. What is wrong with you? You have a hijab on. They want to pull that shit off and burn it. Like, I was baffled. I'm like, but my other point was that, like, how you just described it, like, nah, I'm holding my vote because I'm mad.
Yeah.
Like, that's because we didn't get all of our student loan forgiveness. So,
Right. I know. It's like, dudes, first of all, Joe Biden's the most progressive president we probably have ever had. He's he's probably the most union pro union presidents we've ever had. So it's like,
guy that was part of a union that said he may not vote for Trump. And I'm like, did you not fucking see Trump go in front of a fake union people?
yeah,
And
that didn't really work. You know, and by the way, it's in the word, the progressive movement. It's born from the word progress. We got to make some
right.
progress. And I think we are making progress. And if you're going to nitpick every fucking little thing Joe Biden says and does, guess what's going to happen? Your little progressive movement is over. It's done.
Done
So
for decades.
fucking
We're going to
relax.
be set back for decades. You fucking concerned about climate change? He's going to shut that shit down for the next 4 years.
Yep.
And then we'll be behind another 20 years.
Yep. And you know what it's going to do? What's going to do is just going to make people tired anymore, and they're just going to throw up their hands, and they're not going to fight anymore. So, the fight right now is not against Joe Biden, you fucking idiots. That just drives me insane.
It is.
God.
It really is crazy because you're right. And there's not only young people. It's almost like we gave them
you're
too
right.
much praise all at once, right?
Yep.
Especially with young people. You can't do that. You have to withhold praise with young people. I always felt like that when we were all like, Gen Z, oh my God, yeah. I always felt like, yo, with young people, you got to hold off because what they do is the shit that they're doing now. I'm holding my vote now. Like, that's because they're still young. Like, they don't get this is, like you said, movements aren't made in like a fucking day. The civil rights movement wasn't like we marched across the fucking Pettus Bridge and like at the other side of the bridge was like all of the rights and everyone's like, here, rights for you, right? That's not how that worked.
Republicans waited 50 years to overturn Roe. It's like, whether we disagree with that, but right. And that's the kind of shit that drives me nuts. And you know what else it's reminding me of? It's reminding me of the same dumb shit people did with Hillary back in 2016. They were like, oh, Hillary, does that really have to be our nominee? It's like, first of all, she's one of the best nominees in the history of this country. That's number one. But even people like Bill Maher, every week I'd have to hear him saying, do we have to have Hillary and Michael Moore and all these guys? And I'm like, guys,
Bernie Bros.
And I think at the time, even Bill Maher and Michael Moore were the two saying Donald Trump's going to win. But partially he was going to win because you guys were not helping the cause.
All of them. I cannot. Eddie Glaude right now, whatever his name is, that's on MSNBC. The Eddie Glaudes, a lot of these Black professors that are analysts on MSNBC they hated Hillary too. And I'm just like, y'all are fucking up our chances, right? And now they're crying about Trump. It's like, you're professors. You were probably telling your students the same bullshit about Hillary, and they didn't vote for Hillary. Like, what did y'all think was going to happen? She was just going to win with what other votes?
And it's happening.
Black women only?
It's happening all over again. I was going to point out something to you. You remember Luther Campbell of the 2 Live Crew? Mm-hmm. I saw him the other day having one of those Twitter Spaces things, and it was basically about the the Black community saying, we're not voting for Democrats, they're not for us. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, if you look at the Democratic Party and you look at the Republican Party and you see the difference between the two, even Kevin McCarthy was
Right.
on video last week saying,
Right.
if you look at the differences of the party, the Democrats look like America. We do not. And
Right.
it baffles me to think that. And again, I'm not saying that, and listen, the Black community knows better than I do about how they feel about their politics and how it affects their community. But at the same time, the Democrats are the ones that are voting for, all different kinds of people, where the Republican Party clearly isn't.
Right, but the issue is, and not with the whole Black community, because this is it. It seems like there's a lot. It's not a lot, and I don't think it's a lot that will change votes, right? Because they've always been there. Like, I don't think any of these people that are like, oh, the Democrats aren't delivering tangibles and reparations. They probably didn't vote the last time. Like, honestly, I don't think they voted for Biden anyway. But
Yeah.
like, they want something in their hands. They don't.
But I have to imagine, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I would imagine that's got to be a low percentage of people. I mean,
Right.
I don't
Absolutely.
expect the Black community to say we're not voting for Democrats because we're not getting reparations. I think
Right.
it's a small
Now,
amount,
it's a
but
low,
maybe enough
yeah,
to affect the difference in an election. Is that
right, because
accurate?
eh, what okay, so there's two things. They don't see, they're like tunnel vision. They don't understand that because I did this podcast with them and I was just like flabbergasted by what I was hearing.
Hmm.
Like, I had to get off because it was just making my stomach hurt. And it's like, they don't see insulin. So if Joseph Biden capped insulin cost, and diabetes impacts the Black community disproportionately.
Yep.
If he's capping insulin, then that means that's going to help us more if we're impacted more. But they don't see it like that. It's almost like they just want something just for us. Like, did he cure sickle cell just for Black? Like, like, it's just something like it has to just be for us. And that's part of like the problem. But I do believe that Joseph R. Biden, that his middle name R,
Yep.
they really do need to talk to Black men more. Like, they have to carve it out
Yeah.
and speak directly to them and stop fucking assuming and doing this Black monolith and like, the Black community, I got your back. Unemployment is down, which is all good for us. Like, in the scheme of things, because that's how we have to vote in the scheme of things. One party who's doing things in the scheme that's going to help us all, and then one party who only wants to help the rich. You're not included in that. So why would you ever want to vote that? But they have to do a better job with the Black men specifically, because those are the people that you're losing. And if you have the Black men on your side, you are going to do better. Like, you're just racking up the numbers. Like, they're not going to see you fucking getting rid of weed sentences. They're not seeing that.
I would think, and if there was, if they were being advised to do that, obviously, definitely a good idea. I think that's maybe the only hesitation I might have is that Joe Biden doing it, because Joe Biden's going to try to go out of his way to sound, just to sound like he's, down with the community, and it's just going to come off wrong. And he might, I don't know.
He doesn't need to do that. Like, no one needs to do that. All he has to do is say, for Black men. Even if he made some type of, I don't know, department or something to look at why Black men are incarcerated at higher rates. Like, I don't know, just making shit up, but just something. And then you go out in front of it and say, this is why we're doing this, because we understand that Black men are arrested at higher percentages. We understand that it's open season on Black men with police brutality. We that's why we're doing, like, that's all he has to say. Like,
and see, but that's what I've said before, is that if everybody would just take the approach and understand that you could talk to another human being, regardless of race, regardless of religion, regardless of, if you just talk to them, same way you and I talk to each other. I'm a white guy, you're a Black woman. we don't talk to each other in a certain
Because I
way
don't know
because of
any
our
other way to
race.
talk. I don't know
Yeah,
what the fuck that is.
right.
Every black man is not going to be like bouncing around, and every
Exactly, and
white
that's what I said, it's insulting. You can
yeah,
talk to everybody the same way, and if he just
yeah,
approaches it that way, I know he went on to a radio show. It was I think it was the Breakfast Club one time, and he tried to overdo it a little bit and got criticism from there. And it's just like, Joe, just go in there and just talk like you're talking to another human being. You don't
right,
have to, overdo it. You don't have to try to overstate anything. You don't have to try to be anybody that you're not going to be. We're all smart, intelligent individuals.
and
We
if you
all
get it
might have
enough,
different ways of,
right,
talking, or we like different things, but at the same time, we all understand regardless if you
right,
just use regular
and he
language.
just do it enough. He just doesn't do it enough. That's why it's just not there. And my fear is that they're going to wait way too long and then start enlisting Beyonce and then start enlisting the Jay-Z's and start that, right? Like, so
And
they
I think Hillary did the same thing. It was waiting
it's
too
just
late by doing
too
that.
right.
Yeah.
That should be, how what's her name? Taylor Swift's out here and
Mhm.
getting people registered to vote. They said
Yep.
she's registered like 290,000 people. I don't
Yeah.
know, something ridiculous.
Yep.
Literally, I would be reaching out right now to John Legend, to
Yeah.
anybody. It is never too early to start your campaign. Joe, I know you're tired, but you got to start campaigning. We
Yeah.
know it's Donald Trump.
And I will tell you too, I mean, the two I would love to see out there more than anybody is Barack and Michelle Obama.
Yes,
You
you
talk about
understand.
powerful
Right,
messengers.
right. They come out at the
You don't
last
get better than that.
minute. They come out. I mean, I understand people have lives, but again, I always think about it as these people are still privileged, all of them.
Yeah.
They don't want to see a Trump presidency, but they're still going to be okay. Like
Yeah.
their daughters are going to be okay. And not just Barack and them, like just everyone involved. The urgency is not that urgent until it gets closer. And like for all of us, we're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like Trump is pounding you and killing you with his words. Like, what are we waiting for? Like, fucking punch back already. Like,
And
mm,
yeah, I think that's also part of the problem. The part of the problem is that when I talked earlier about the propaganda machine on the right, it works with those people. There's no propaganda for the left because it doesn't work on. You have to tell facts and you have to be straight up and you gotta, say everything. On
nothing
that other
salacious
side,
what
you
you
could just
say,
say
right?
whatever the fuck you
Yeah,
want. I mean,
yeah,
literally, Donald Trump is in his rallies talking about Viktor Orban and other
yeah.
dictators, and they're cheering like fucking idiots. They don't
Mm,
even know why they're cheering, but they're
nope.
cheering because he says it. And it's
Yeah.
just like, man, you guys are just, you have no idea what you're doing to yourselves. You just sound so dumb, but
But you're right. Yesterday was the 51st anniversary of the car crash that took Joe Biden's wife and
yeah, yeah,
young daughter. So I wrote a tweet about that, blah, blah, blah. Families go through hardship and just, you know, kind of like that's where Joe Biden is from. Like he knows pain, he knows hardship. That's why, he's the perfect storm for us. Whatever the case is, some fucking trolls like and I don't even read this shit half the time, but sometimes I like to spar back and forth.
Mhm.
Oh, 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 his wife, the one he cheated on with his current wife. And I wrote something like, do you have a concussion? Or did you get your people confused because the audacity of you here telling this lie when we all know who's really the cheat?
I
Who,
know it's all projection. All these people
like,
are projection.
how
And
could you
not to
say
mention,
that?
Joe Biden's pain and all his story is real. Donald Trump's, all that bullshit where the tough guy came up to him with tears in his eyes and said, Mr. Trump, if
Ugh,
it wasn't for you. And it's just like, oh
he
man. And
cheated
every one of you,
on
and he says
his
the same shit over and
pregnant.
over and over again. They all fall for it. And it's just all so fucking ridiculous. I want to go back to one point you made. Somebody wanted to somewhat call you out last week because you said the same thing that you said tonight. And we just want to straighten this out. You
Yeah,
had mentioned about insulin and the reduction of price in insulin. And somebody had mentioned that you're gaslighting because that insulin, the decrease in insulin was only for seniors. And I responded that we definitely understand that. However, it was the Republicans who blocked the reduction of the price of insulin for everybody. I even shared a link so he can read it.
Right.
So she's not gaslighting you,
No.
you idiots. She's just saying that Donald Trump or Joe Biden did everything that he could, and so did the Democrats, to lower the price of insulin that she just said affects her community. And she's not saying that it
Medicare
happened.
or Medicaid or whatever that is on. But the other thing that Biden did, and I forgot what bill this came under, but didn't he pass something that allowed insurance companies and whoever to negotiate the prices of drugs, which in turn decreased the prices of some of the prescriptions?
Well, it hasn't taken place yet.
Which is interesting because the price of one of my, well, only have one prescription, has gone down. Like it's literally 84 cents. It was never expensive before. It was like $2.99 my copay. Now it's 84 cents. And
there was a list of initial drugs, some of the top ones that many people take that are going to be negotiated now. Of course, again, it didn't take place right away. I think they are going, there are some still, there's always some red tape kind of shit that they always have to go through. But again, what other president has been able to accomplish this?
Calling somebody out on something good, like, oh, wait, she's wrong because it's not for everybody. It's just like if we say Joe Biden has, in fact, helped people with their student loan debt. No, he didn't. He didn't do anything. He actually did.
Even when it was blocked, the actual plan that he planned to do, he still did some things. And I know there's an argument, and I'm not exactly sure the dynamics of everything, but there's an argument that Joe Biden could overstep it and still do it if he wanted to. I'm not sure of the dynamics there, and I'm not sure if that's exactly true.
Does it? I don't know how you.
But I've heard progressives complain about it, so there's got to be something to it, and people that I would deem as somewhat knowledgeable of the situation. So, if that's your complaint, fine. But guess what? With Donald Trump, you get, as I said earlier, absolutely
zero.
Nothing. Nothing. Actually, not nothing. You're going to go backwards in time.
Donald Trump has never talked about lowering the cost of education, colleges, universities,
healthcare,
or prescriptions in a campaign speech. You know what he talks about? America first.
He doesn't even talk about that. He talks about himself.
Immigration. We're going to close the borders and drill. He doesn't give a fuck about your insulin. He don't care about your tuition fees. He doesn't care. They want your Social Security, and you're here talking about gaslighting insulin. Are you fucking kidding right now?
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking serious?
Well, again, I mean, these are obviously people who buy into the narrative that Donald Trump is the guy that can fix everything. They think that there is a guy who's
fixing insurance. They're going to get rid of your Affordable Care Act or whatever and replace it with nothing. And they've had over a decade to get something, and they still have nothing.